This podcast is made possible in part by WKTV Community Media.
Welcome to the Be Nice podcast, where we dive into conversations that help us recognize, understand, and take action when it comes to mental health, mental illness, and suicide prevention. I'm Christy Buck, your host. The Be Nice action plan is simple: notice, invite, challenge, and empower. 4 simple steps that can change, improve, and save lives. Together, we'll share real-life stories, insights, and tools to break the stigma around mental health and inspire positive change in our communities. Our guest for this episode is my good friend, Shawn Davis, who will share more about his son, Brendan, and more about their family's journey of losing their son, brother, to suicide. I invite you to find out more on our website at benice.org and follow Be Nice on social media. As always, we start off with a myth. Young adults who seem to have it all together aren't at risk for mental health challenges. No, that is totally a myth. And the fact is that outward success doesn't equal mental wellness. College students, early career professionals, or highly accomplished young adults can and will struggle with anxiety, depression, and other mental health challenges. High-functioning young adults often mask symptoms. Coping strategies like overworking, perfectionism, or hyperorganization can hide internal struggles. Changes in moods and sleep, concentration, social engagement, they can be subtle and often missed. Pressure to perform can increase risk. 1 in 3, 33% of young adults experience some form of mental illness in a given year. That mental health challenges are common. Our young adults are at risk. A part of their brain has not developed fully, and that is the brain that leads us and is in charge of impulsivity. So these are tough conversations, and I welcome Shawn Davis to lead us through a very tough conversation, and that is the loss of his son, Brendan, in 2023. Welcome, Shawn, and
thank you, Christy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our relationship, our friendship started when, after you had lost, obviously, Brendan. I wish I would have known him as a young man. He probably would have been a boy. I would have encouraged my daughter to date. But anyway,
I hope so.
It would have been for sure. But I want to start off and tell us a little bit about yourself, because sometimes that's a little real to these situations too, is you're just a real person and a hard-working dad.
Yeah, well, thank you. First of all, thanks for having me. Thanks for this opportunity. I mean, I could sit here and say I'm sad that I'm here, and certainly there's a component of me that is, as everyone would understand in this situation, but I'm also very happy that I'm here. I'm happy that I'm with you. I'm happy that I'm here because it really is a chance to help other people. To your question, yeah, I'm a dad. I'm a father. I'm a brother. I work for General Motors. I'm a human resource director with General Motors, supporting manufacturing plants, and just really enjoy our friends and our family. I enjoy activities. I enjoy sports. I enjoy helping other people. A little bit of golf every now and then, that sort of thing. Love the Lions and all of our Detroit sports, and love my family, and love my kids, and just looking for an opportunity to help out. And I think by the end of this, hopefully people understand that, one, this topic is extremely real and can happen to anybody. But the good news is there's hope and there's help.
There sure is, and I thank you for being on the journey with us at Be Nice. We got to know each other, and that was, the fact that you had created a foundation in Brendan's name. But let's talk about Brendan as the person. You brought along a book, and I just was paging through some of the photos, and those photo albums should not have the birth and death at such a young age. Yeah. Tell us about Brendan.
So the tough part, huh? This is the tough part. But I can smile a lot because Brendan, as you can see in the pictures, just had a beautiful smile, and that's what a lot of people talked about. They often talked about his smile and how he was an old soul. You know, when he would go to his friend's house, the parents would always comment how Brendan was one of those kids, and I'm sure he's not the only one, but he was one of those kids that would always start with the adults, and whether that was grabbing a cup of coffee and talking for 30 minutes with the adults until they told him, Brendan, go downstairs, go with your friends. He was just that kind of kid. But on a serious note, we We lost Brendan. He was 20 years old. We lost him. He died by suicide on July 9th, 2023. And almost to your myth, it really lines up with Brendan because he was straight A's. He had just finished his sophomore year at Michigan State University. Back in high school, his senior year, he was the captain and MVP of the baseball team, and they went all the way to regionals. And then fast forward back into college a little bit, he had one of the best internships at a financial firm. He had a girlfriend. He had a loving family. He's got a loving brother and sister and mom and dad, and he had everything going for him. And then we woke up one Sunday morning and we found him, and he had died by suicide, and it was a complete surprise, like you always hear. But it was an absolute complete surprise to us, and it changed our life. And now we're committed, along with the grief in the morning, we're committed to try to help other people so they don't have to go through this.
Well, we appreciate the fact that you have been able to help Be Nice, and we'll talk about that later. I want to look at Brendan's life, and I want to ask you, did you ever notice as a young man, did you ever notice things that were going on in high school? I'll add a stat in that 50% of mental health disorders come on by the age of 14 years old.
Yeah.
So that's why our passion is this mental health awareness to high school students. What was Brendan like? Did you ever notice, were there things in high school where maybe there were struggles that went unattended to?
Yeah, I think it's a really good question because if you asked me back then, were there signs? I'd say no, there was no signs at all. There was zero chance that this was going to happen. I'd take all the money I have and bet that there was no way this was going to happen to our family and to Brendan. Brendan was a free spirit, would be one of the terms we use. He was the risk taker. He was always the free spirit, $1 million smile, made everybody feel better. Although he always was a little bit anxious, had some tough times making decisions, would think and think and think about them. But that was really about it until, I would say, the last year and a half or so, and then things started to change. And then really the last month or so before this happened is really when they changed. But leading up to that, no, there was no signs.
Right.
And I would even say the last month or so, and I think this is critical for people that are listening and we want to help other people, is that if I had this Be Nice program, for example, and I knew what to notice and how to invite myself in and challenge and empower, I feel very confident that Brendan would still be here. And as a dad and a parent, that is really tough to say.
Yeah.
But if my purpose now is to help other people, then I can say that very confidently because there were some signs. There was some of the weight loss the last month. There was some of the couldn't sleep. There was the headaches. There was some of those sorts of things going on that in hindsight, I was like, oh, the signs were there. We could have helped him, but we just didn't know. We had no idea.
Yeah. And so much of it, and you mentioned that anxiety in high school can be that first sign that somebody is struggling with a mental health disorder. You know, first you're challenged and, then you get through it and you think, oh yeah, he's great. He's great. And the sad part is that from anxiety, the inability to find those answers to these frustrating circumstances that are part of your anxiety can lead an individual to develop the illness called depression. And that is what so much of our focus is, that 9 out of 10 times when someone dies by suicide, it is the illness called depression in combination with that anxiety.
I would agree with that.
And when college students are facing so much stress and so much pressure, a lot of times they don't know where to get the answers. And as parents, and I think you mentioned this, we're going to talk a little bit more about, I think I can give them some tools. Man, I got those tools in my back pocket.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sure.
I can help them that way.
Yep.
But what we learn now, right, is when somebody is struggling with anxiety, and you said it too, about that indecisiveness to make decisions. Sometimes you just want to shake somebody, right? So
to your point, we found a letter afterwards, and I think maybe all the high schools do this. They write this letter their senior year. I understand the teachers have them write this letter about what's going on in their life and what are they looking forward to in college. And then they open it a year or two later, and we found that letter, and there's a lot to it, but the point I wanted to make is at the beginning of it, he talks about one view of his reality. Straight A's, I'm so excited my senior year, our baseball team's going great, I'm going to Michigan State, I've got all these friends, I've got this girlfriend, it's just blah. But when you turned it over to the back, the title on it was Real Talk. And I think the teacher had each one of the kids do that. when you turn, and so again, I hope this helps other parents and
I
family
do
and
too,
friends.
Shawn.
When you read, because I would have bet my life, like I told you, that there was no way this was going to happen.
Yeah.
So I really hope people realize this can happen, but that there's hope and that there's help. It's preventable and curable, et cetera. I just found it so interesting that in the back of that letter, it literally said, "Real talk." That was the title of it. I can't shut my mind off. My brain goes 24/7. I overanalyze every single decision to the point of paranoia and anxiety. I just can't shut my mind off. But maybe that's what makes me successful. And then he goes on talking about all the good things coming up again. But there it was, his senior year of high school. I can't shut my mind off. And then we were fortunate enough to get a letter from him when this happened, when we found him. And I know most people don't get a letter. We got a 3-page letter, and he talked about how he just couldn't shut his mind off and couldn't shut his thoughts off and that sort of thing.
My goodness.
So anyways, it
Wow.
was there for a while. And the last little piece I'll add to that, to your point of the point you were just making about sometimes this goes on for a long time, is we found 2 other letters, and they dated back into junior high school. And he's talking about girlfriends and friends he's helping. Brendan was always helping everybody. Everybody felt better after being around Brendan. I've got so many memory statements to that
Yes.
effect. But the point I was trying to make was he actually wrote in there at one point, and I almost did it, because he was upset about the way this girl was being treated, and they were so close, or some girl broke up with him, and he's like, "No, I'm not kidding. I almost did it." And my wife and I have had that discussion, like, do you think that means that? And now I know, I think it does.
Wow.
Because these are some of the most courageous people that try to stay
Wow.
up. They don't want to die. They just
Yeah.
want this pain to end.
Yes.
Or this problem or this pressure. They're
Yes.
some of the most courageous people. They just need a little bit of help from
Yeah.
someone who notices, invites them. Your plan, your action
I
plan.
know it. I know. Read me, and I know that you're open with this too, that final note. And I'll say that, we were speaking earlier that receiving a note does give you, I hate closure because it's not going to close
Yeah.
anything, but for you personally, having that note left was what to you?
Yeah, I mean, I cannot imagine not having the note, right? Because we're still asking why. I think
Yes.
through the grieving process over time, we all know you stop asking why as much and you find out your new purpose. But for a long time, you're just asking why, and we're kind of asking that. We still don't know why. We don't know why other than this anxiety and the can't shut my mind off. But yeah, he did leave us a 3-page note, and part of it, just reading from a little bit of it, he had made some comment about this is no one's fault but my own. So I've learned through other workshops that it's pretty common people blame themselves when they're really not to blame. It's an illness, right?
Yes.
They need some help, but not your fault. It was my own. I love you all more than I ever got the chance to explain, even though he told us he loved us all the time. But I love my family beyond belief, and I would have never accomplished all I did without you all. I am so sorry for the pain that this will cause. I love you all so much. I love all my extended family so much. And I love Sam, his girlfriend, beyond belief. And I know that she will do great things in life. And he goes on about that a little bit. And he goes back to but I am sorry for the pain and confusion this will cause. And the penmanship is so good here. So that's what we've learned. People can be, the pain overrides the love. The love is always there, and we just got to connect with the people emotionally before they lose that last little bit of, they don't lose the love, but before the pain overtakes it.
Yeah, the hope.
The hope and the helpless.
Yes.
That's what you read in this letter,
Yes.
the hopelessness. And
Yes.
But I love you all more than anything else and wish you the absolute best in all you do in life. Please don't ever think that this was your or anyone's fault. And that reminded me of Wayne Elhart,
Yes.
Jeff's brother, who,
Yep.
in your book, Be Nice. He said very similar things. And the last part is, please don't ever think that this was anyone's fault or that anyone could have prevented this. Well, we know we can, but in their minds, they're hopeless.
You got it.
There's no hope. This is
Yes.
the only option to end the pain, pressure, or problems. I do not like the person that I've become because he couldn't shut his mind off.
There
He
you
couldn't
go.
shut his brain off, and I don't want to be a burden to people. And I can't handle the stress and responsibilities of what lies ahead in life.
Yeah.
And it's very tough to read this as a father, as you can imagine.
Yes.
I love you all so much from my whole heart. I hopefully will see you in heaven. Wayne had that in his note in your book as well. I love you all. I love God. P.S. You are the best parents and best family somebody could ever have. I appreciate and love you all more than you'll ever know. And I'm sorry for the pain this will cause. I love you all so much, Brendan.
I mean, how many times was love
It's
mentioned?
just, yeah.
And that pain, that hopelessness, but also worthlessness.
Worthless,
You know,
yes.
and those are those really heavy-duty things that we cannot see. You know what I mean? And that's why these
Yes.
conversations are so important, because to have verbalized that potentially, right? When you hear these things, and this is to our audience right now, that it's time that I take the next step to invite myself into the conversation, to
Agree.
repeat. Did you just say that? And you repeat it. I just want to teach some lessons right now, too, while we're
Absolutely.
here talking about the
Absolutely.
plan. And then the next page behind that was his another note, right? In addition, there was a longer one. And this, to me, is very telling in the handwriting compared to his other note.
Yeah, unfortunately, when we, without getting into the details, when we did find Brendan, like so many other parents and spouses and loved ones find their loved one in this situation, again, we were fortunate enough to have these notes. It's a situation you never think you're going to find yourself in, and your life is instantly changed. He had been, I think, trying to, either through alcohol or a little bit of these vaping devices that so many of the kids use, and this stuff that they vape is so much more potent. It was a coping mechanism we've since learned to try to lower this pressure and shut the mind down, right? They're trying everything they can to live. They don't want to die.
Yes.
But this pain is like, it's been described to me as a burning inferno fire at your back, and you're up against the wall or window. What are you going to do, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just so unbearable and intense. So I can only imagine that was the situation, which hurt you as a parent even more, that you weren't there and you couldn't figure it out yourself. That's why you need a Be Nice program to teach you. But yeah, so he had that. He must have been trying to, muster up, I guess, the courage or whatever you want to call it at that point. But yeah, he wrote, kind of scribbled,
Yeah.
I love you, Mom, Dad, Megan, his sister, and Nate, his brother. This was never your guys' fault or something you could have prevented. Again, we know we could prevent it. I am sorry for all the pain this will cause. I love you all so much, and you are the best family and humans on this earth. I love you all so much. And that was it. Now, I want one other quick one, because I hope this helps people. I don't necessarily love the picture of Brendan and his friend here, but they're at college campus at Michigan State, like a lot of kids, probably at a tailgate.
Absolutely.
Actually, he looks great, but I've hit so much about the worthlessness and hopelessness that people like this can be in, and I thought this was a great tribute that this girl wrote, and she's a friend of our family, and she wasn't his girlfriend, she was a friend, but briefly she said, Dear Brendan, you are and forever will be the best person I know. Now, he didn't see himself that way at the end, right? He didn't.
No.
Or he wouldn't have taken that act, and so many other people wouldn't have. The best person I know. You are kind, funny, genuine, and you truly light up every room you walk into. We heard so many stories about Brendan making people feel better. It was a blessing and a privilege to not only know you, but to call you my friend. And then this is the key. I wish so badly that you could have seen yourself through my eyes. And Christy knows this. She knows it far better than me. I'm only 2.5 years into this. Their perception of themselves is not good. So if you're wondering how to help and what to look for, be direct and ask, hey, how are you seeing yourself? What do you think of yourself right now? What thoughts are in your head about you?
Yes.
Your kid, your spouse, your brother, your sister. Because she said, I wish so badly that you could have seen yourself through my eyes, as well as everyone else's who were lucky enough to know you. There is nothing I wish more in the world than to tell you this to your face and give you a hug. I love you, Brendan, and I will forever cherish times. And she goes on, but it's that point of I wish you could have seen yourself through my eyes.
Huge.
And so there's a cure here. That's the good thing. I want to get on, there is hope and help. It's preventable. It's curable. And in my opinion, the Be Nice program can really help with that.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm so excited with the foundation we've started.
And, we can't thank you enough with the foundation. And so we've got a 501c3 created in Brendan's memory, and just such a handsome guy. I can't
We
imagine
had 1,000
the loss.
people at his funeral. It was just overpouring with friends and family, community members. And we've been so blessed, and I mean that, from friends and family that have donated, and not just money.
Yes.
Much more than money, but including money towards to allow us to give back like this, to Be Nice, and to Anthony Grappito for the Magic of Hope and programs like this. But our support from our friends and family in our community has just been amazing.
Well, you have given us a gift, and that is a real life story I mean, I'll tell you that this is really difficult, but a gift to drive that bus into more schools right now into East Michigan. And I know you'll be on the journey for many other schools other than just in that area, because as we're expanding and growing, you know, everybody doesn't know that a need in the schools is programming. And so with your message, hopefully even with this podcast today, we'll be able to get to people that maybe are just listening and thinking, oh, maybe we could bring it.
Yes. Let me know. We'll help.
We're on it, man. We are on this journey together right now and knocking on doors. And sometimes it takes a moment for a school district. And it took us about 6 months, I think, to get to the table. And we're going to be in Brendan's alma mater. We are going to be in Rochester Public Schools. And I know that, and I saw it at the event that we did this summer at the baseball game, the lives that he touched.
Yeah.
All of the folks that came out to that game that day, and we all went on the field. I know it. It was just absolutely an amazing tribute. And again, we wish you could have seen this, Brendan, celebrating you, you know.
He played on that field in high school, so yeah.
And I can only imagine the memories that would have happened that day also. In addition, we're hoping that we're going to be able to spread the message to another very at-risk population, and a big population are men in general. And so that is a risk factor for development of a mental health disorder, and especially for it to go untreated. And so they hold a higher suicide rate. We know that they oftentimes lose their life with lethal means, which we're really trying to bring awareness about owning a gun. I mean, that is absolutely essential to education right now also.
Absolutely.
And it's a tough thing to talk about, to say that we need to, when we know somebody is struggling. And that goes along with noticing, right? And having those tough conversations. So you're on the journey with us, and I know you're going to help us out to get more of that awareness out there also. It's very difficult, and I want you to know that whenever you are feeling like you want to talk to someone, I want you to know that I'm available. I know you've got a great wife, and sometimes it gets overwhelming in this space of suicide prevention because you're going to tell your story over and over again.
I've still been seeing a therapist for 2.5 years. I never would have thought I'd seen a therapist, but somebody luckily a friend recommended it, and I did it. And originally it was weekly, and then monthly, and now we're going to end it for now because we seem to be doing pretty good. But I'm forever thankful to Dr. McGunn. She's been great, and so many other people. You mentioned Jimmy John's baseball field.
Yes.
Give them credit there in Utica, and Christy drove all the way out there with her husband Tim.
And that's awesome.
I've met your daughter. She's been to events at Michigan State for fundraising. But Jimmy John's Field has an annual event in May, and they give us a platform to help get the message out for Be Nice and for us and Anthony Grappito. The next one's May 16th. And 2026 during their mental health game. One point I did want to make too, and it feeds into your point about men, but it's even a little bit bigger than that, is my wife and I are trying so hard not to just make everything about Brendan anymore. Obviously, as you can imagine, it will forever be a hole in our heart. And my poor daughter, Megan, and son, Nate, I feel bad that they have to lose their brother. But there are so many others, as you know, in the stats with 40, 50,000 a year in the U.S. and every 11 minutes and every 2 hours, right? I mean, all those stats, and 1 in 4 and 1 in 5 are struggling. These are real numbers, everyone that's listening. I really hope people are listening because I was you. I didn't think it could happen. Even in the face of some signs, I would have tell you, there's no way. Somebody, I think 3 weeks before this happened, saw him at a grad party and said, Brendan looks sick. I'm like, oh, come on. I literally blew it off. I'm like, no, he's fine. Well, he wasn't, right? But I just wasn't educated. I didn't know the notice. I didn't know the I, the C, the empower. But the point I was going to make, and just to give some others some attention, there's at our high school, I think I counted 5 or 6 names in the last couple years. And a lot of them were boys. And Zach Massey at Michigan State, who's friends of ours. Peter Price, the Prices are friends of ours. They lost their son 7 years ago or so to suicide. And Adam, Andy McGill, and I'm going to forget the names, Cameron West, and Adam Johnson, and then there's Lisa Gunn's daughter. And so they're just and that's all in my little community in the last couple of years. So this is a real issue. Again, I'm going to smile because Christy gives me a lot of energy, first of all. There is help. There is hope and help. And this is preventable and curable, and we got to take a program like Be Nice and all educate ourselves a little bit. You don't have to be a doctor. You don't have to be a mental health professional. You can learn this and we can save lives.
You got it. Well, we're going to band together. It's just like, we weren't talking about breasts years ago, right? That's my comparison.
Sure.
Where, oh my goodness, who said that word? Well, now we are talking about an illness called depression. We are talking about the seriousness of anxiety. We are talking about safe gun storage. We are talking about, and we can't hide behind it and not discuss it. A lot of times people don't want to go down that road. Oh, no. But again, a lot of our good kids, and you're going to probably read that also with the boys that you just mentioned, that they were sensitive souls.
Yes,
right?
very much so.
And along with it, that is a risk factor, that sensitive person. And then add in other things, obviously. It's just a check mark box, man. I mean, we got to take a look at our kids and check it, that indecisiveness, that really difficult time to make a decision. Don't take it away from them to make the decision. Help them, but find out what's deeper. What's going on? The fact that he felt that way with those paranoid feelings back when he was a senior in high school, writing that real life. Wow.
Yeah.
When would that have been open? Was the plan for, is it 4 years?
I don't really know. I think we were just cleaning out the bedroom after several months, right? And thinking we got to move forward here. And then there was the letter. I can't remember whether it had already been opened or not by him or not, and why we didn't find it, who knows? But
can you imagine the aha moment? I can't.
Yeah.
I mean, clues and warnings.
But those are the early warning signs. I mean, again, Christy, you know them far better than I. You teach this. You've developed this for 40 years. But those early warning ones, I think, are some of those clues about indecisiveness and tough time making decisions and the anxiety and that sort of thing. And then in some cases, there's never 100%, but in some cases, I think it gets, like in Brendan's where then there's a little bit of the weight loss. And I'm having trouble sleeping, so I'm taking some melatonin. Or, hey, you come back from work and your lunchbox still got some lunch in it. Hey, what's up? But unless you know this, you never connect that to suicide. You just wouldn't.
No.
It's not natural.
No.
But people need to know that you need to do that.
You need to,
and
because just like any illness, right? I mean, if we go back and you look at anything, pneumonia, right?
Yes.
You can die from pneumonia.
Yes.
And we're on top of it when we're looking for signs and symptoms. Oh, fever, still. Cough, still. Lethargic still. We need to look at mental health the same way. And
you made me think about, we talk about, because they don't want to be a burden, we talk about the silent killer with heart disease. Well, in a sense, this is very similar because they typically, again, never 100%, but what we've learned is they don't want to be a burden. Yeah. Right? So then what's that mean? Well, they're not telling you. It's not on their head. It's not outwardly present. In fact, I've joked, if you will, with some of my coworkers and friends that you want to notice somebody, well, look for the kid that's smiling, that's getting straight A's, that's very popular and has lots of friends, because that could be the person. Yeah. That was Brendan. Yeah. So you do have to notice the good and bad. I forget you're saying.
Notice the good, the right.
The good and the right,
so
and then you have to notice the difference, and then you have to have that courage to invite yourself in. And we also heard from a professional one time, you can't just ask somebody, are you doing okay? And they'll be like, yeah, because if they are planning on taking their life, they might be thinking that's the best thing that's ever, because this pain's going to stop. So yeah, I'm perfectly fine. And I know I've heard you say this before. When you're in that situation of challenging or inviting and challenging, you got to be very direct. Like, are you thinking of killing yourself? Yes. Are you thinking of taking your life? Because that may open the door for the person to then tell you what's really going on, because they don't want to be a burden. You got it. So, I've asked it a few times in the past couple of weeks, and I can't be afraid to ask it. And that's another myth, right? That you're going to cause somebody to take their life, and that's a myth. Imagine if people would have asked all these kids that question. And we know we're moving in a direction where people are wanting to talk more and putting mental health clinicians and workers inside of schools now, right? But opening the conversation and kid to kid also, asking my best friend, I am worried about you, right? That's what we're doing with the program. Peer to peer with Be Nice. You got it. Let's get them into the counselor's office. Hey. Yeah, you would ask about the foundation, and I'm kind of wearing the t-shirt today. We like this slogan, just be, because it's Brendan, and just be present, be kind, be a good friend, and he loved the outdoors, and so we got a little mountain, and some high school girl helped us design the logo from our high school. But my point is, we've been so fortunate in forming that foundation. We had no idea about foundations and 501c3, right? I mean, I'm a business person and still didn't. But bottom line, we've been so blessed with donations from friends and family, and some big donors from like the Shamrock 555 and Stephen Louisi Piazza gave us $10,000, and so we have some
Absolutely.
family members there, and so many other people gave $50 or $20 or $500 or $1,000, and then literally the way I met Christy or met you was Anthony Grupido
Yep.
from the Magic of Hope said, "Hey, Shawn, I think I'd met him at Jimmy John's Field." He says, "You know, I think Christy Buck and Be Nice is the program for you. I think it fits Brendan." And then I got a hold of Mira, Katie Comorn, and the Mental Illness Resource Association of Oakland County. And I'm learning as I'm going here. As I'm crying, I'm learning. And
You got it.
And my wife and I and others, and we reached out and met Christy.
Oh, we love it.
And this was a great fit. And you were looking to get more into the east side. And we had people like Debbie Fragamini, who retired from Rochester Schools, and I mentioned her because she was instrumental in getting us in. And now we're up to the superintendent and deputy superintendent of the Rochester Schools and the three principals of those high schools. Without those people, this wouldn't happen. As much as Christy pushes, and it wouldn't have happened.
It does not happen.
But now we're in there. And I think you're in Clarkston, and you're in so many others. And so we've got an avenue now to get into any other school, I think, that wants us to get in there or wants you to get in there. We can help.
And it is. It's you being able to share Brendan also.
Put a face with the...
It's lived experience right now. You are living with the loss of someone who died by suicide, who lost a battle to a vicious disease that oftentimes is hidden. And we don't want it to be hidden. So we are going to keep conquering, and I'm hoping that maybe in a few months we're going to bring you back. And maybe in the world of Be Nice Business, helping us to launch and create that buzz amongst other industries over on the east side of the state. We thank you so much. I thank you for your friendship and for being here and for being willing to sit down and share Brendan with us. It's a comfort to me to have these photographs here, to know who I am going out there and putting myself in front of people to make sure that we save lives.
Well, thank you for that.
So I want to thank everybody for listening today to our episode. Together, we definitely busted a harmful myth about severe and persistent mental illness. We hope that by sharing this story of Shawn's, the story of Brendan Davis, who may his memory always be eternal. And if you or someone else are struggling, please reach out, text NICE to 741-741, and also use the hotline 988. Always someone willing to talk. Check us out at benice.org, and most of all, be nice.
This podcast is made possible in part by WKTV Community Media.